Round 1 of the 6-round Altherm Window Systems 2017 New Zealand Jet Sprinting Championships was held at New Zealand's newest permanent jet sprint track, the Methanex Aqua Track in Waitara. Leighton Manel and his team had done an amazing job, and a big crowd turned up, but so too sadly did the rain. And the racing was cancelled before eliminations, which gives us a chance to recap last year's season and catch up with the teams. The Merry Sprint Bowl just south of Auckland was the venue for round 1. The nature of both high and low speed corners and sheer pace of the rotation demanded respect, and by eliminations the cream had risen to the top. Despite this earlier glitch, Warren Farr and Ben Thomas and Hustler picked up third. In second place, the Hamilton pairing of Rick Burke and Alf Kill in Firewater, but taking the maximum 30 points and the number 1 spot, Kate Hugerbrug and Blake Bryant. Win made more special with the early retirement of defending champion and sure to be rival Sam Udick. Scorching temperatures and a big enthusiastic crowd surrounded the Shelterview Aqua Track for the traditional day after Boxing Day racing. Round 2 of the 2016 PSP Championships. Quick out of the gate, and despite this, quick all day husband and wife combo of Kathy and Bevan Muir. They were third. In second, defending champion Sam Udick and Glenn Mason. New engine parts arriving just in time. But once again, taking the win and making it 2 for 2 with the Gisborne pairing of Kate Hugerbrug and Blake Bryant in Harvest Transport. They now led the championship from 4th place getter Rick Burke and Udick in 3rd. 2 years of hard work by Leighton Manel saw the Methanex Aqua Track making its debut in season 2016. Thousands of people lined the banks to see New Zealand's best on this testing drivers' rotation. Local pair of Neil Marshall and Michelle Reid were coming up a fine 3rd place in the World Championships, and sometimes pushed the limit, but still came through in 3rd place. A great result for the tarmac rally specialist. Another putting the huge crash at the recent Worlds behind them was Kate Hugerbrug and Blake Bryant. They would be second to their arch-rival Sam Udick. It had taken until round 3 for Sam Udick and Glenn Mason to pick up their first win. The PSP team had turned the corner and put the disappointment of the Worlds behind them. Blake Bryant held a slender 5-point cushion over Sam Udick as the teams headed to the pristine surroundings of the Riverside Jets track just outside of Hastings for round 4 of the Altherm Window Systems Group A Championships. Finding the absolute outer track limits and finding themselves again in 2nd place were Kate Hugerbrug and Blake Bryant. A win in round 3 to close the gap to 5 was followed up by another win here in Hastings as round 4 for Sam Udick and Glenn Mason in PSP. Momentum was shifting, with racing in the dark still to come. Round 5 under lights at Shelterview was always going to be a game changer in the Altherm Window Systems Group A class, and so it proved. Hugerbrug and Bryant could only manage 6. It left the door open just a fraction. Bounding through the crack, newly crowned world champions Rick Burke and Alf Kill in Firewater. They would come through and finish 3rd. Having their best season results so far after a 3rd at the Worlds, Michelle Reid and Neil Marshall. They would take their Eagle Automotive boat to 2nd place. For the 3rd time in a row, it was the PSP's Sam and Glenn show, taking the win. The championship is now poised on a knife edge, heading to the final round. The Altherm Window Systems Group A Championships came to Featherston for the final round with just 3 points separating the defending champion Sam Udick from the comeback kid Blake Bryant. It was all to play for. Bryant and Hugerbrug had survived what could well have been a career-ending crash at Bay Park, but had come back with a brand new boat. Udick and Mason had put the disappointment of a final round mistake at the Worlds behind them and had been on a tear, winning the last 3 rounds. They repeated the dose here at Featherstone, relegating Bryant and Hoogerbrug to the runner-up spot and claiming their third championship in a row. It had been a dominant performance for the PSP racing team. Save for a mechanical gremlin at Mary Mary's round 1, they had never finished lower than second, right throughout the 6 rounds.
We had a bit of a slow start. Blake got off to a flyer, and rightfully so. You know, he put in a heap of groundwork in the off-season, leading up to the start of the season and the Worlds. Attacking the rest of the National Series after that World Series, it was just a matter of redemption, getting back on top of that podium step, and building each round as we always do.
Battered, bruised, but unbowed. Well described the season of Kate Hoogerbrug and Blake Bryant. The comeback from the devastation of Bay Park Worlds round took guts and, more than anything, teamwork and dedication.
We still look back on last year at the successes we had as, you know, being amazing memories that we'll remember forever. And to begin with, it went like a dream. You know, we started off really well, and obviously set a pretty good benchmark early on as to what was going to be required come the Worlds. Lacked obviously the discipline to keep it in the water, and every sprint we were tinkering, trying to get back to where we were. I guess my confidence felt like it rose fairly quickly again, but you can't rush these things. If the boat's not ready, it's not ready, and until it's dialed in properly, you're never going to touch a competitor like Sam anyway.
This was the moment that the season changed for Hoogerbrug and Bryant.
It's inevitably made me an older, wiser driver as a big accident like that will, but I still feel perfectly confident out there. It's hard to say whether, you know, maybe once upon a time I was prepared to take some risks that I may not ever be prepared to again, but as far as getting out there and getting into it, I'm as confident as I've ever been.
In third place after the season's chase and still coming off the high of their first ever World Championship win, Hamilton pair Rick Burke and Alf Kill.
We had a brand new engine and a brand new boat at the start of that season. We blew it up on the Thursday before our first round, racing on the Saturday. So we were stoked just to be on the podium and be on number 1 place in the Worlds was absolutely amazing. We had a lot of changes in the off-season. We've changed a few bits under the boat, a bit in the jet unit. We were sort of struggling a wee bit with top-end speed last year, so we've tried to battle away with that. There was definitely the Blake and Sam show last year, but the rest of us there's about 6 of us on the same second, so everyone stepped up. So it's definitely, we're all jotting for the same place, and it's number 1 on this one.
Michelle Reid and Neil Marshall's World's performance of 3rd overall probably overshadowed their 4th place at the Nationals.
The boat was brand new for last season. The first round we had a lot of problems, a lot of handling issues, but that's to be expected with a brand new boat. But by the time we got to the Worlds, first round of the Worlds, it all sort of came together, and boom, the season just ran perfectly smooth after that. Couldn't do a thing wrong. So yeah, last year's results were probably better than what we actually really expected to, but that has now put pressure on us for this year because you want to step it up again. No one likes doing the same thing. I'm still relatively new to the sport, so I'm still learning. I certainly haven't got the game mastered yet. I'm a long way from it, but yeah, last year was a big stepping stone for us.
The rain kept falling and it became a waiting game. After lengthy delays to wait for the weather to clear, the decision was made to go racing. More than happy with that after an overly long trek from North Canterbury, last year's 5th place, Simon Gibbon.
We're down a couple of members because they're from the Kaikoura area in North Canterbury, so it's made it even tougher, but hopefully we'll get them at the end of the season, and once everything's up and running again. We want to be in the top 3 at the end of the season, preferably on the top step, but you know, people are saying it's going to be easy without Sam and Blake, but I'd say it's going to be probably harder. And just looking at the scores, yeah, guys are going quick and fairly tightly bunched at the top. So.
Father and son combination Ross and Shane Travers had made the decision to step up to Group A in the off-season.
We've done 2 or 3 years in Group B, been reasonably pretty successful. So I thought, right, it's time to step up, and we've had the opportunity to do it with some help of quite a few people, so here we are. The boat actually handles better, I find, with Group A. There's, with the extra horsepower, so extra 100-odd horsepower, it actually sucks better onto the water. Rotation's good, like that. There's just a few little bits and pieces we're sorting out with the new motor. We only put it in 2 days ago. So it's basically just a bit of tuning here, and that's what the plan for today is, to get that running perfect. by the end of the day for setting up for the rest of the season.
With the two in front of them moving to the Superboats, everyone thought that Rick Burke and Alf Kill would slot into the top spot with ease. Everyone except the current world champions.
It looks like a fast track, but it's not. It's going to have to be smooth. There's so many things out there that can catch you out. There's a lot of big waves and a lot of curbs on the islands that are hiding under those waves. So I think people are just going to have to settle down and get on with a bit of pedal movement. Oh, it's definitely going to be a hard fight. I mean, everyone knew that there was about 6 of us sitting on the same second, and they were all trying to be 2 seconds faster again this season. So it's definitely the fight will be on.
When the Biolytics Group B class started their championship at Mary Mary's round 1, there was a gap at the top. Ollie Silverton had finished second last year and moved up to Group A. On his bogey track, third at Mary Mary was defending champion Ross Travers in Radioactive. In second place was husband and wife combination of Tim and Debbie Edhouse. Sending a message to their competitors, Team Schizo Racing. Patrick and Jay Hayden from Te Awamutu would take the flag and the 30 points in the championship lead. The Shelterview Jet Sprint track can be cruel, here catching out Dan Reed in round 2. A stunning performance from the all-female crew of Pip and Poppy, Pip Thompson and Megan Brodie, taking third for the Bitches box. Another runner-up spot, just as they had been at Mary Mary, were again the husband and wife combo of Tim and Debbie Edhouse in Liquid Addiction. And repeating the dose of round 1 was another husband and wife combo, Paddy and Jay Hayden in their Stinger-hulled Schizo Racing, taking the win and making it 2 for 2 and extending their championship lead. At a circuit dubbed a driver's track, most of the Group B competitors were happy with Waitra for round 3, all except New Zealand number 3 Hayden Wilson, his day ending early. On the podium again, but this time in third place, Tim and Debbie Edhouse in Liquid Addiction. In a close run contest, Paddy and Jay Hayden duelled with defending champion Ross Travers, and it came down to hundredths of a second in the final. Second this time for Schizo Racing. After a shocker at round 2, it was time for the defending title holder to step up, and that's what he did. Ably guided by son Shane in the navigator's seat, Ross Travers took his first win of the season in Radioactive. At the halfway stage of the Group B Championships, the teams headed to Crownthorpe, just outside Hastings and the Riverside Jet Track. Despite his spectacular exit at Waitra, right in the thick of it was Wanganui's Hayden Wilson, third. In the pristine clear waters of Crownthorpe, championship points leader, 3 clear of Tim and Debbie Edhouse, were the Haydens, Paddy and Jay. Again, they would have to settle for second place. Making a late run at the championship, he sat third, 9 back from Hayden, was the Radioactive pairing of Ross and Shane Travers. Back-to-back wins, and with the next round at his home track, the New Zealand number 1's timing was impeccable.
This is the top.
Be it a superboat, Group A, or as we see here, Group B, Wanganui under lights is always a game or a championship changer. After finishing just off the podium at Hastings, the Liquid Addiction pairing of Tim and Debbie Edhouse were back under the lights at Shelterview. They finished third. Yet another second place for championship points leaders Jay and Paddy Hayden. Jay's Lucky Undies working their magic and keeping the Te Awamutu pair at the front with 1 round to go. With 30 points for a win and 29 for second, the Wanganuian father and son pairing of Shane and Ross Travers were clawing back the Hayden's advantage. The big question, with just 1 round to go, could they make it? The grand final for the Biolytics Group B class would be a showdown at the Westview Aluminium Aqua Track at Featherston. Laying his cards on the table early, Tim Edhouse. Edhouse sat in third, 1 point out of second, but 7 out of the win. Going into the final, he would be third. 6 points adrift of the winner meant it was an uphill battle for Ross Travers to repeat as a Group B champion, and so it proved. He would win the day, but ultimately come 5 points short of the title. Paddy and Jay Hayden really only needed to make the top 5 to win their first championship, but the outwardly very nervous Patrick Hayden was leaving nothing to chance, racing hard right to the end. His second place finish garnering him his first national title. In what had been a very dominant performance for the Waikato pairing, their lowest finish over the whole 6 rounds was second place. Outstanding.
We were pretty happy with how we finished up last year and the way the hull was running. Yeah, pretty fortunate, really. You know, I like to set the boat up pretty safe, and with a little bit of grey here, I'll probably drive a little bit conservatively as well. So no, we were really lucky. But you know, there's been some close calls. You know, looking at footage, but yeah, no, we're lucky to get away with it.
A new addition to the Group B ranks for 2017 is Kelly Manel, a past world and 2-time New Zealand superboat navigating champion. Kel had taken the plunge and changed seats. We caught up with her at a very sodden Waitra.
It felt right. I thought the time's right, and there was a boat available that, you know, Leighton said would be a good one to start with. So yeah, we sort of took the bull by the horns and thought, have a go.
And obviously Lake was encouraging.
Oh, very, yes, yeah. He said as long as, you know, I don't beat his times or anything, but I don't think there's any danger of that. Certainly worked hard over the off-season to get, you know, things that weren't quite right last season right this season, and everyone's chipped in and worked really hard, and it's, I mean, today obviously it's working really well, and there seems to be a lot of happy people, so yeah.
You and Nikki have gelled well?
Yeah, we have. I mean, Nikki's, you know, she's former superboat navvy as well, so she's used to it, and yeah, we've worked out a system between us, and yeah, seems to be working really well so far, and it's great to have her next to me, actually.
Between the frequent showers, we did get some racing at the Methanex Aqua Track, with the Group Bs nearly getting through to eliminations. First up, this is Tony Reid and Andrew Bakey from Taranaki, a 50.376 on their debut here at Waitra. Rodakari Roden is the boat for Bevan Schuler and Sam Fergus, another Taranaki pairing. What is it about the water here in Taranaki? Their best time, the 52.653. 3NZ is Tim Edhouse, but not Debbie this year, because Debbie and Tim's son Blair is doing the navigational duties. Their best time in the rain at Waitra, 44.363. Jay and Paddy Hayden, New Zealand #1 in schizo racing, the Tawamutu pair, not liking the conditions. Just have a look at the expression on the face of Jay Hayden. Terrible, terrible conditions here for a 46.764. Clayton and Mandy Tisdall come all the way from Tapanui to compete in the Altherm Window Systems New Zealand Jet Sprint Championships, and didn't have a happy time of it at Waitra. Went completely wrong a couple of times here, and the time blew out to an 83.19. A lot of people were looking for the debut of Kelly Manel and Nikki Ferguson, both of them plenty of experience as navigators, but it was the first time for Kel in the driver's seat. 48.213, pretty good under the conditions. Daniel Reid and Ben Sol back for another season in Aquaholic. Their best time, a 46.870. He shared with his brother in the boat last year. Well, with the rain still pouring down and no let-up in sight, it was decided to cancel the meeting before elimination started, and that meant everyone who attended would be awarded the same points. But there was some racing in Group A, as we will now show you. This is Stu Latham and James Hayden. Stu travels from Perth in Western Australia to compete here in Ryco Hydraulics. Had problems in the early going and recorded a DNF. Dwayne and Aaron Riddick, another Taranaki pairing, open to view is the boat. 48.158 showed promise before the meeting was called off in hot property. Another new combination. This is Sean and Faye Rice from, you guessed it, Taranaki from New Plymouth. Wet Dream is the boat. Elite Kitchens are the sponsor. This is the ex-Paul Gaston, second in Group A boat. 45.537 for them. Harry Whelans and Jason Conroy were back for another go in the renamed boat MF King Motorsport. Past name Usain Boat, the best name for a jet sprint boat in New Zealand. Phil Dick was making his competition debut here at Waitra and struggled a little bit in the early going. Hayden Digby Smith, brand new in the navigator's seat as well. The boat is the Reaper. Phil built and designed it. Andy Ryan and Carrie-Anne Allen were back in the Joker, third year in the competition. Andy's an earth mover. This is a Sprint Tech hull with a Chev. Also coming from a long way in the deep south of Invercargill, Carl Brentzel and Hamish Murray in Maroon 2. Best time for them was a 43.181. Remember, this is early on. This is well before eliminations would have started, but you can see for yourself looking on the screen, conditions were terrible. Making his Group A debut in the New Zealand Championships, although they had raced in the Worlds in 2016, Ross and Shane Travers. Already quick, 42.017. Fifth last year in the title chase in Group A. Cy Gibbon looking to go one better with navigator Paul Thompson, but as you heard in the interview, took a long time to get here because of the Kaikoura earthquake. 42.058, not completely happy with the performance that they put in. Bevan and Kendra Death were the next combination to go in 10 Tools Racing. Kendra subbing for Kathy, Bevan's wife. Another one that really couldn't get to grips with the new rotation here at Waitra. Ollie Silverton and Jess sit the back in a new Sprint Tech boat, PSP Suntough the sponsor, with the engine of last year's champion Sam Udick, 43.035, another one that struggled with the new islands here at Waitra. And Neil Marshall and Michelle Reid came to grips with it early. The local pairing from Taranaki always struggled with the hairpin, but things were looking good for Big Deal. 42.767 for Neil and Michelle. Rick Burke and Alf Kill, are they going to be anointed as the champions-elect? Third last year in the title chase, and remember, no Sam Udick and no Blake Bryant. 42.573 for Firewater, a pretty good performance in the inclement conditions for the Hamiltonians. So, as you can see, the rain continuing to fall here, and the right decision was made. We decided to cancel the round here at Waitra and look forward to round 2 at the Mary Sprint Bowl, 40 kilometres south of Auckland. Hopefully the sun is shining, and we will see you there.